Before you buy a home in Kansas City in 2024, there are two things that you have to watch out for, and they matter especially this year because with the talk of mortgage rates decreasing, it's likely that we'll see even more competition than we ever saw in 2023. In this video, we're going to discuss one, the 3 to 4 months in Kansas City when homes are selling the fastest. Second, exactly when home prices in Kansas City hit their peak and when they start to plateau. And third, one strategy you can implement to increase your chances of avoiding a bidding war altogether. Now, if you watch until the end of this video, I'm going to show you a list of the top 15 housing markets in Kansas City that were the most competitive based on 2023. Part number one, here's when homes in Kansas City are selling the fastest. I'm going to show you numbers from Johnson and Jackson County so you can compare and contrast and see what's happening on both sides of state line. But first, it's important to note when we hit peak competition, most of these homes are going on the market on Friday. So they go live on Friday. They're usually under contract, sometimes as soon as Saturday, usually by Sunday or Monday morning, which means you've got a really small window of time where you've got to make a decision and potentially outcompete several other people interested in the same property as you. Here's what that looks like in Johnson County over the last 4 years on the Kansas side. 2020, before mortgage rates hit below 3%, we had about 5 days on the market, which was really fast back then. But then it got even quicker from 21 to 23 with an average, a median of 3 days on market. And the reason I'm excluding the average but still showing you is because those involve a lot of extreme outliers which distort the numbers. What you're seeing is only for pre-existing or resale homes, not any new construction homes. We break down 2023 in Johnson County on the Kansas side down by month. You'll notice April through June is by far the most competitive with homes selling in a matter of 2 to 3 days. We had a little jump in September, November, December because mortgage rates were really erratic. I remember working with a couple clients where we'd get a quote for mortgage rates at the beginning of the week, and by the end, it's like hundreds of dollars worth of a difference, which was just crazy to think about. Now, if we parse this out in 2023 with some of the most popular Johnson County suburbs, here's what it looks like with Westwood selling in about 5 days, Roland Park at the extreme opposite end, selling in a matter of just 2 days on market. Feel free to pause the screen if you want to pick out and go through this list a little bit more in depth. I'm going to show you one for the Missouri suburbs as well, so again, you can compare and contrast. But first, if we take a look at Jackson County on the Missouri side, it's taking a little bit longer for those homes to sell over the last 4 years. So you can see a range between 9 days on market all the way down to 4 days. Last year took a little bit longer, likely because with high mortgage rates, there was strained housing affordability. If we break these down by months in 2023 in Jackson County, you'll see January hit a maximum of 22 days on the market. We hit a minimum of 3 days on the market in June. Now, if we exclude the county-wide restrictions, I'm going to show you some of the most popular suburbs on the Missouri side. Here's what that looks like from 2023. Parkville, north of the river, selling in about 10 days. Platte City, near the airport, about 10 days. You've got Liberty, another one north of the river, selling in about 4 days. You got Lee Summit selling in about 5. Again, feel free to pause the screen so you can go down that list. And the numbers that you just saw are very similar to what I would expect to see this time around. There are two main differences, which are one, the housing shortage. It seems like there are less properties that will hit the market this year. That could all change, but the second factor could overwhelm it, which is the idea of mortgage rates decreasing sometime this summer. It seems like more people are gearing up to jump into the housing market. Part of what drives that is not just the comfort in knowing that mortgage rates will be a little bit more stable, but some of it is because a lot of people put off making this transition over the last couple of years. They feel like now is the moment in time to do it. So I'd expect to see a lot of those suburbs that are selling in 4, 5, 6+ days in the market, expect that to tighten up down to the 3 or 4 range instead. If this is your first time seeing these videos, then welcome to the channel. My name is Massa. I'm a real estate agent licensed in Kansas and Missouri. I make these videos to hopefully make your journey buying or selling a home in Kansas City this year so much easier. If you have any questions, my contact info is at the top of the description. 90% of my clients find me through these videos. If you think we'd be a good fit, feel free to give me a call, text, or email. I'd love to support you and see you succeed this year as well. We're going to move on to part number 2, which is when home prices in Kansas City hit their peak. The key metric in this section is all about the percent of asking price received. So how much over the asking price were most of these homes selling for? I'm going to show you Johnson County, Clay County, and Jackson County just so you can see a little bit of variability across the Kansas City metro. Here's what it looked like for Johnson County. 2020, complete outlier because that's when mortgage rates were headed way down below 3%, continued until 21. So if you look at 22 and 23, we've got peak competition around February. most of it starting in March and lasting until August, with the highest point being around 107% of the asking price in April and May of 2022. The reason this number matters for you is because this is a pretty good indication of how are we seeing a lot of bidding wars, right? Are prices continuing to go up every single month? Are there parts of the year where if you jump into the housing market, it's going to be less competitive and you won't have to pay as much for a property? Here's what those numbers look like for Clay County. You can see same kind of variability in 22, but we've got that consistency from 21, 22, and 23 between the months of March and sometimes up until August, with the peak price hitting around 106% in May of 22. And we still had some fairly low mortgage rates. And of course, they've more than doubled since then. If we go over to Jackson County, we've got a little bit more variety of homes for sale in Jackson County. You can see that 2020 is still an outlier, but for the most part in 21, 22, 23, we've got anywhere from April all the way to September when the home prices hit their peak, with the highest point being May of 2022. I think that's behind us, but we'll likely see something very similar to 23, if not a little bit more expensive this year, given that mortgage rates will likely decrease, or people have just been putting this off so long that they're more hungry now to get into the housing market and finally find a new home. So what this means in real life, aside from just the numbers, is between April and sometime around July, if not August of this year, that's when it's going to be the most expensive and the most competitive in the housing market, where you'll likely run into bidding wars unless you follow the tip I'm going to show you in just a second. Now, just to put this into perspective, if you're buying a home in the 400,000s, selling at 105% of the asking price essentially puts you at $20,000 over the $400,000 price. If we're shopping in the 600s, that's $30,000 over the asking price, and so on and so on. However, there is one strategy you can follow to ideally sidestep a lot of these bidding wars altogether. If you see a property come up on Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, any of the home search sites where you get notifications, and it looks like an incredible deal compared to the price, the location, based on what you see in the pictures, likely two things are happening there. Either one, it's been deliberately underpriced so that it looks like a deal and everybody wants to get in that front door and see what that property looks like. Or second, there's something wrong with the property. Like, you know the deal. The pictures are sometimes too good to be true. If the price is too good to be true, most likely there's something going on structurally with the condition of the property, and maybe there's a smell. What we found to work pretty successfully with a lot of my clients who are shopping in some of these cities that are more competitive, where the homes are selling in about 2 to 3 days, and they just don't want to deal with the bidding war. They've been in one before, they don't want to repeat the process. We look at what everybody else is doing, everybody else looking for homes. When are they going to look for homes? When are those offers being written? We basically do the exact opposite. So I call this the weekend test. If a home survives the weekend, most likely whoever looked at that home and was considering writing an offer wrote it off and probably wants to wait until next weekend to see what else comes on the market, meaning they're not ready to buy that home just yet. If you go ahead and look at properties on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when most people are looking on like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you're automatically putting yourself in a better position where there's just less traffic going through those homes. Now, two things to consider here. One, there could be some lingering interest, right? Maybe people want to look at a couple more of their options. Maybe you write an offer on one of those homes on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Somebody else swoops in. It's going to be far less activity than what you would see on the weekend. So automatically, you're cutting down the competition by quite a bit. The second thing to consider is that when you're writing an offer in this type of market, depending on what the seller prefers, what the listing agent prefers, usually you're going to write a deadline of 24 to 48 hours, which means as long as you write that offer by a Tuesday or Wednesday, let's say you've got a 24-hour offer expiration deadline, you're going to hear some sort of response. Maybe they counter, maybe the agent and the seller go ahead and shop around and try to get an even better offer. But again, it's going to be far less competition than what you traditionally see if you're only looking for homes on the weekend. Now, that's just one way you can still get a good deal, even in this crazy competitive housing market. There's plenty more where that came from. So if you're thinking about buying or building a home in the Kansas City suburbs, you want to put together a similar strategy or plan to make the most of the situation, get more value for your money, feel free to reach out. If you think we'd be a good fit, contact info is all on the screen. It's at the top of the description. We'd love the opportunity to support you and help you succeed. Now, speaking of the most competitive housing markets, here are the top 15 most competitive housing markets in the Kansas City metro from 2023. You can see Overland Park at the top, just absolutely absolutely breaking the scale. It's probably somewhere on that list, but we're going to rule it out of that number one position just because the numbers aren't accurate. Prairie Village, named as one of the most popular housing markets by Zillow just a couple years back at 113% of the asking price. You've got Oakwood Park, which is just north of the river, Mission Woods, which is between Mission Hills and Westwood Hills on the Kansas side. You've got Independence, Mosby. What I really like to see on this list, Mission, Roland Park, Merriam. I'm really bullish on all of those areas because they're in that top shelf of Johnson County that I believe is really undervalued, and it shows based on the numbers, 103% across the board for those three. You got Pleasant Valley, Westwood in Kansas, Birmingham, another one north of the river, Gladstone, North Kansas City, and finally Lenexa finishes off the list at 102.6% over the asking price. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button to let me know if you'd like to see more videos just like this. And if you have a home to sell and you're trying to decide, should I do it this year? Should I wait until next year? Go ahead and watch this video. It's the market update from last week. Or if you'd like to get in touch with me, put together that strategy to maximize the value of your investment, whether you're buying or building a home, you can click this link right here to go ahead and send me a message. Either one of those, watch this video or click this link, and we'll see you on the other side.